Ophelia here, and I'm back with another video for Ophelia Talks. And today we are making this jolly jumper here. Oh my goodness, I've had such fun making this and I love wearing it. So it is really straightforward to make this. There's various parts to it, but I'm hoping that with the video and the written pattern that I have available for this jumper, you will be able to successfully make this jumper. Now the thing is, I have used different colors for every row. There is a color table in the pattern. Of course, feel free to use whichever colors you want. You can make this, of course, in one color as well, but we do have a color pack available for this. So it's a color pack with 9 colors, and you will be able to make the sweatshirt with these 9 balls of yarn. So these are the colors that I am using. As always, the pattern is available on my website, and the other things you will need for this pattern are, of course, your crochet hook, your scissors, a darning needle, and some stitch markers will come in very handy. I am using a 3.5 for the yarn because it is prescribed as a 4 because it's DK yarn, but for my tension I use a 3.5 hook. So let's get started. I'm using lilac to start with. That's not the color I started with, but I am just going to use light colors to show you what I'm doing, and I'm going to work in blocks of color. So I'm not going to change color when you need to change color to make your sweatshirt look exactly the same as mine, but I'm just going to work in colors, in blocks, so that it shows which part I am working on. Okay, so this is lilac. Make sure you leave a longish end. Okay, so I've got about 50 centimeters here. Leave that. There is a reason for that, and I will tell you that in a moment. So make your slip knot, insert the hook, keep that long end out of the way so you don't start crocheting with it, and you're going to make foundation double crochets. So that means you're going to get started with doing 2 chains, 1 and 2. Then you're going to yarn over and you're going to go into the first chain you did. There we go. You go in there, you pick up the working yarn and you bring it through that first chain. Voila. And now this loop is ready for us to make a chain. And now we're going to use these 2 loops as well as this one for our double crochet. So we yarn over again, you pull through 2, yarn over again, and you pull through 2. Now that chain that we made just now is going to be the base for our next stitch. So you yarn over, ready for your double crochet, but first of all we have to go and make a chain going into the 2 strands of the V of the chain that we made earlier. So this chain here, this one right here, that's the one that we're going to use in the next stitch. So if you wanted to, you could keep your nail on it like this so that you know where you're going in a moment. And now we're going to make our double crochet. So I've now made 2 foundation double crochets, yarn over into that chain that we made earlier, so the 2 strands picked up, pull up a loop, make your chain fast, and then holding on to this chain you can make your double crochet. And this is how you are going to continue for 94 stitches. Now the number 94, there is a reason for that, obviously, and I have 3 different sizes that I give you in my pattern. I have worked out the front, the shoulder, the back and the shoulder, and then I have added 4 stitches for the corner. So those amounts are in the pattern if you wanted to make this sweatshirt larger or smaller. I am making what I'm calling the medium size, so that will be my size, and then I have a larger and a smaller size as well. So there we go. You keep on making your foundation double crochets. Now, if you're tempted to do a chain and then your double crochets, that's fine, but you have to realize that if you start with a chain, this here will be static. If you do foundation double crochet, look, this is elastic. And that's what we need around our neck, and that will make things a lot more comfortable. So that's why I'm starting with 94 foundation double crochets. So good luck, and I will see you when you have your 94. So I have now made my 94 foundation double crochets, and I used some stitch markers to help me count. And now for round 2, actually we're not working in the round just yet. We're still working on a straight because I think it is easier to correct things should you need to. This is also why we have a longer tail there as well. Okay, so let's just start round 2. Chain 1, you turn, and we're going to do a corner straight away. So a corner into this V here, which is the V where the chain 1 is coming out of. So yarn over, insert into that V, and we're going to make a corner. Now this corner is only made like this for this row, okay? So the corner is made up of 1 double crochet, 1 chain and 1 double crochet. And that's only for round 2. We will change the way we make the corners in the next round. So now we're going to place 1 double crochet in the next 18 stitches. So let's do that. And it's worth trying to count them really carefully. And I would also advise you maybe to just place a stitch marker into that corner chain space. It's just going to help you in a moment when we do the next round, okay? So 18 double crochets, but you are counting from the double crochets. We're not counting the corners, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 18. Voila. So that's 18 double crochets. And now in the next stitch I'm going to do a corner. So that means I'm going to do a double crochet, a chain 1 and a double crochet. And I'm just quickly going to put a stitch marker in there. Voila. Now the next set of double crochets I'm going to be doing is 27. So from the next stitch you're going to be placing 1 double crochet in the next 27 stitches. I'll see you at the end of it. And that's 27. Now in the next stitch another corner of 1 double crochet, 1 chain and 1 double crochet. Again, let's place a stitch marker in there. Voila. Now we're going to do another set of 18 double crochets. So in the next 18 stitches, 1, 2, okay, so that's 18. Again, corner, 1 double crochet, 1 chain and 1 double crochet. And here you should now have 27 stitches left. So let's start with doing those. 1, 2, 3, 26, and here the last one, 27. Now it worked out, okay? Had it not worked out, I would have made do here. So there is a way, and I have a video for that, where you can add a stitch to the base here, but also there is a video where you can do 2 rows of double crochets in one go, so you would have to do that there. So I will link those videos so that you can sort yourself out here. And this is of course the reason why I haven't closed this up yet, because if it was closed up and it doesn't work out, you have to start again. But you can make do here, but of course, you know, if you count carefully, it should be okay. So yes, I have counted carefully, and I did place a stitch marker in that last corner as well. And this is now what my work looks like. So we've gone from a straight thing to this. Let me just, yeah, look. And of course now we're going to have to connect here. Now you're probably thinking, yes, that's all very well, but that first row isn't connected, and that's also why we have this longer end here as well. So you can use your needle not only to sort of create a connection here, but also to slightly sew this together. So let's connect this one to here. So we've got our corner chain space here. We're just going to go under this V and do a slip stitch. There we go. Voila. So this is our collar now. And there is going to be a second part to the collar, but that part is easier when you do that after you have established some of your sweatshirt there. So let's leave it like this for now. We're going to cut off the yarn because this color is for the collar. Okay, so I will be using that again when I do part 2. So let's pull this through. There we go. And now for round 3, we're going to get started with a slip knot. And we're going to get started with a standing stitch. So we'll just do a stitch as if we were already crocheting. And I'm not going to get started here, I'll just get started around about here, because that will take the pressure off that flimsy connection there. It will get better in a moment. And we're going to get started in a corner because yes, we have indicated those, so that's handy to know. And we're going to get started with doing our corner. Now the corners from now on will be 3 double crochets, 1 chain and 3 double crochets. So you yarn over as if you were already crocheting, go into the chain space, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and yarn over, pull through 2. And of course we're doing clusters from now on, so that means 3 double crochets for the corner, 1 chain and another set of 3 double crochets. Voila, there we go. So that's the corner that you will be doing throughout the sweater. Now we are going to do the usual. For granny clusters we skip 2 stitches, so 1, 2, and we work in the third. And in the third one you are going to place 3 double crochets. We're going to skip 2 and you work 3 double crochets in the third stitch. And this is how you continue along your little side here until, of course, you meet a stitch marker. That's why they are useful, because once you start doing granny clusters, it's easy to forget that actually you might need to do some corners as well. When you get to the end of your little side here, you will notice there are 2 stitches left, and that's fine. Then here into the corner chain space, we are going to be doing the corner 3 double crochets, 1 chain and 3 double crochets. So here on this side, this is one of the front or the back of our collar, and we have now made 9 clusters, not counting the corners. Now for the side, we're going to do exactly the same thing. So you skip 2 into the third for a cluster. You work your way along the side, and actually this is the little part that will lay over your shoulder, and here you will have 6 clusters. And there we are, I've made it to the end, 2 stitches left into the corner chain space. I am going to do 3 double crochets, 1 chain and 3 double crochets. As you can see here, I have 6 clusters on my shorter side, and that's of course the shoulder part. So now we're going to repeat the same thing on this longer side and on this shorter side. So I will see you when you have done that. I've made it all the way around. I've gone past where we connected, and actually that's made it a lot sturdier, so in a moment we'll sort that out. But before we do anything else here, yes, I have my 2 little stitches left over here, going to go past the standing stitch there into the first usable V, and I'm going to do a slip stitch. There we go. So when you have decided that this collar is the size that you like, it is time for you to sew together the connection here. Make sure you keep on top of sewing in your ends, okay? Just so that I know that this connection here is secure. That's the only reason why I'm doing this already now. Normally I would sort of, do it every so many rounds, or maybe every Friday. Think up a rule for yourself when you have to sew in your ends, because that will be very helpful for you to make sure it's not too overwhelming in the end. Or of course, because this is a wearable, and when I make them, I never sew in anything until I'm finished. Because yes, it is a wearable and you don't know about the sizing. You might need to start again. Who knows? So that's the first one sewn in. And then this one here, so our extra long one, I'm not going to use all that length. So let's just halve it, make it a little bit more easier for us, but still have a little bit of length. Then here we need to create a V, so I'm going to go under the next one there, and then I go back in where this one is coming from. Voila, then just there we go. See, look, and now it looks invisible. And now once again going to try and find some strands and do just about the same as what I did with the other end, just finding strands to go under and do a little bit loop the loop there, going around the strands. Voila, there we go. What we are constructing now is the yoke, and we're going to work rounds of clusters until we can fold our yoke like this, and we have arm openings that are big enough for our arm. So now we're going to do a few more rounds so that I can show you how to go until you have a big enough arm opening. So now I'm ready for round 4, and normally you should be cutting off your yarn and changing colour. So I'm going to cut off my yarn. I'm not changing colour, but I just want to show you what to do, okay? So with the colour that you're going to be using, you make your slip knot and you insert your hook. Now you can get started wherever you want, and I did do that, and that meant that there was no place really where you could see that I had always started. So it doesn't really matter where you start. You can just get started on the side, you can get started in a corner, wherever you want. You start with a standing double crochet, you add 2 more double crochets to it to make your cluster, and off you go. Now of course you place the clusters in between the clusters of the row below. And this brings us to the corner where we will be placing 3 double crochets, 1 chain and 3 double crochets into that corner chain space. Voila. And we continue placing our clusters in between the clusters from the row below. I will see you at the end of the round. Okay, so this is what it looks like now. And I've just made it to the end of the round here. Close the round with a slip stitch under the first usable V. And normally you would be cutting off the yarn, but if you're not, then all you need to do is just a couple of slip stitches to bring you to the next location here, chain 1, and then you can do your 3 double crochets, or you could chain 2 and then add 2 double crochets. So make that chain 2 count for a double crochet. So I've just helped a little bit of the height here with doing that chain 1. And then of course you continue with your round. So I have a list of colours available in the pattern, so do go and have a look at that. I will see you at the end of the round. So I now have done a couple of rounds of clusters going round my yoke, and of course this is not enough, okay? So for my large sweatshirt here I did 18 rounds, so you count from here 1, 2 and then 3, 4, 5, 6, so I did 18 rounds. Now upon the 18th round, when I folded this double like so, this here, if you hold this close, this here was a good arm opening. So what I did, I used those crocodile clips, I closed this up, I put this over my head, checking of course that this was the opening I wanted, and then I made sure that when I put my arm through here, it was okay, it was comfortable, and this was sitting just sort of a centimetre almost below my armpit. Okay, so this here, as you can see, look, this, the lime one here, this is where I got to. And this opening here was a nice comfortable opening to get my arm through, and it allowed to have a nice arm width to start with here. So if you look at my arm opening here, you can see there's quite a few clusters, and if you look at the lime colour that is, and the the opening measures 24 centimeters, so the whole round would be 48 centimeters. So 24 centimeters is just about 9 inches. Okay, so that's quite the opening. Here, of course, on my sampler piece, I have not got that big of an opening. Let's have a look. So 4 inches of 10, 11 centimeters. Okay, so that would be like 8 inches or 9 inches around, while this is 18. Okay, but that was comfortable for my arm, of course. Okay, so that was row 18. So that is then the end of our yoke. So when you get to that position where you have enough rows done here and you have a nice opening here, we are actually going to start working on the body of the sweatshirt. So we're not going to be working here anymore. We're just going to go around here. So I'm going to change color because of course this is a different part to our jumper. So I'm going to make my slip knot, insert my hook, and you can get started wherever you want, apart from, of course, here, because we're not going to be crocheting there anymore for now. So I'm going to get started here so I can show you how to put these corners together. So you're just going to get started by doing a standing stitch and making your 3 double crochets. Voila. And of course, yes, I'm only changing colors for my different parts of the sweatshirt, so you would understand better how it works. But of course, you're changing colors every row, or even, whenever you want, or one color, because that's of course your choice what color you're going to make this sweatshirt in. So now I've made it to the corner here, and you would normally make a corner, but we are no longer making corners. We are going to yarn over, insert into that corner chain space here. Then you go and get the corner chain space there, insert there as well, pick up your yarn again, hold them together like this, and you're just going to do, look, again into both locations, you're just going to place, let's see that I've always got the correct location. There we go. You're just going to place your cluster there. So this cluster is holding these 2 corner chain spaces together, and now we have nipped them together. So I'm going to continue, and of course when I get to the next chain space I'm going to do the same thing. Do make sure that you have the good side of your stitch facing you here, because this will be now the outside of your sweatshirt. Don't worry about what this looks like, because we're going to make an amendment to that later on. So you do this first row, and before you continue, try it on again. Okay, yes, the collar will be good by now because you'll have tried it on several times, but you've amended a few things. So we've created arm openings, so make sure that now, once that it's connected here, that this arm opening is suitable for you. Also, if it is not, if it is too small, you'll have to undo this row, do another blue row. So what I mean by that is do another yoke row, and then start again on the body, start again with the green. And if it's too big, you'll have to take off a blue row. So this way you have control over how big you want to make your arm opening. But again, you've got to think it needs to be a little bit bigger maybe than you might think, because you have to have range of movement. But also use a garment that maybe you already wear and that is perfect for you, and just lay it on top of that and see how big those arm openings are. Measure them and then lay this flat, and then measure where you get to there, and then adjust your blue rows and your green row. And that way it's easy for you to decide, once you have an idea of how wide your sleeves should be. If you have made a cardigan on the channel before, go and check that cardigan. How many stitches have you got, or how many clusters were there, and that will give you an idea as well. Okay, of course you've got to think this is DK yarn. Okay, always the same yarn needs to be compared with the same yarn, or thickness anyway. So there we go. So I have now done my first round of the body of my sweatshirt. We have made arm openings, we have completed our yoke, and we are now working on the body of the sweater. So here we are. I have now done a number of rounds in the body of my jumper. Now the thing is, of course, your rounds are going to be larger and you're going to do a lot more of them. But the green here represents the body of our jumper after we had closed up our yoke and made the arm openings. So once again, I'm going to change colors because yes, this is a different part of the jumper and each part we used a different color. So for the hem at the base of your jumper, you're going to get started anywhere. So you make your slip knot, yarn over, and you find a V. So this time you're not going in between, but you're going under the V's, under the strands of the V's. So find that and you do a double crochet. And that's as simple as that. And you're going to do that all the way around. So if you wanted to do some decreases here, you will have to do 2 double crochets together. So let me show you. So ready for your double crochet, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. Start a new stitch by doing the same thing, but now that we've finished the 2 double crochets only halfway, you're going to yarn over and pull through 2. So that will decrease our stitch count in the next round, and you will be able to make your own rule. If you think it is quite wide at the base and you do want it to be snug, then make up a rule. Let's say do 5 double crochets, then do the 2 together. That might be a lot though, so you might rather be doing 10 double crochets and then do a decrease. Okay, so there we go. So you keep on going until you have done the whole round. And also here where you might have sewn in an end, if it's difficult for you to find the stitch there, just skip it. Doesn't really matter. Better to do less than to do more, of course, here in this case. I will see you at the end of the round. So I've made it to the end of the row, skipping this first standing stitch there, doing a slip stitch and closing the round. As for colour for your hem and your cuff and your collar, you can choose, of course, what you're going to use. So see which colour you have the most left over and use that one. And if you wanted to keep the same colour, then make sure you do so throughout your jumper. Make sure you have enough of the colour that you are planning to use for your cuffs so that you have enough. But I didn't worry about it and I just made mine, yeah, different colours. So that makes it lots of fun. So there we go. But I would recommend using one colour for your cuff or for your hem, you know, while you're doing it. So don't change colours here. So right. So now for round 61, 62 and 63. So you're doing 3 rounds of this now. You're going to chain up and we're going to place a double crochet in the first stitch. Voila. And then you're going to do a front post double crochet in the next stitch, that one there. Voila. Then 1 double crochet in the next, 1 front post. So you go around the body of the stitch, pick up the yarn and you do your double crochet as you know it. Now here, that was a stitch that we put together. Luckily I have a normal double crochet to do, so that's fine. If it was a front post, then you go around both of these and that will pull them together even more. Okay, and then here, yeah, this is where we're at, a front post, a normal one and a front post. And the more rounds you do of this, the better the ribbing will appear, because these stitches will lie on top of each other. Look at this, look, see? So here we do have a clear structured hem. Now here I have to admit it started curling up like this because of what we are doing. So with doing the front post double crochets, you are pulling it down a little bit, and so my hem curled up, and I have steamed it. And as you can see here, I have put my hem down on my steaming mat. I've given it a good blast of steam, and then removing the iron, quickly push down the hem with your fingers, and this is the result. So it has straightened out considerably, but I would think I would need to do it again just to make sure that, look here, I didn't steam it for long enough and it's not staying, but normally it should be, it's fine, you know. So if you do it again, it will be a little bit flatter again. So that's how you are going to do your ribbing around the base of your jumper here. And you keep on going for, like I said, another 3 rounds of this, of doing your front post double crochets and the double crochets, and each time you place the double crochet on top of your double crochet and the front post on top of your front post, of course, and you're going to close your round with doing slip stitches as I did before. So we are going to be using yet another color, because of course we're working on the sleeves. So make sure that you check the color table and see if you can tell how I've worked it out to make it an efficient color table. You're doing the same colors for the sleeves as for the body of the jumper, but with the tick boxes you will be able to tick off what you've done, but make sure you only do the colors with the tick boxes. But it continues to do the hem here, but of course you're not doing the hem in the sleeves at the same time, okay? So you'll be continuing on for a little bit longer than the actual body of the jumper. At least that was the case for me. So once again, you do the sleeves for as long and as wide as you need them, okay? So you've got your opening here, which you can fit your arm through nicely, and this comes nicely under your armpit, okay? So there is a little bit of space there, not too much, but there is a little bit, okay? Because you need freedom of movement. Start on the underside. That's always a better place to start, because if you have to make amendments, you'll be doing them around here, okay? So I'm going to just get started right there, standing double crochet, and I'm going to do my first cluster here. Right, and then here of course we have to work out what we are going to do, and as you can tell I have 2 holes here, so I'm going to be placing a cluster in here. And when you do this in the color order that I have done, you will be using the same color, okay? So look, I use the same color for the first round of my body and the first round of my sleeve, and then you'll be placing a cluster here, okay? Just so that we give ourselves an extra cluster, but also a little bit of space in our sleeve there. Voila. Okay, and that's fine. And then of course you're just going to continue with doing your clusters. all along the round. So this is what I call round 19, because you've done 18 rounds in your yoke, counting from here, okay? And you're going to work now until you have done round 25. And these 5 rounds you're going to do, yes, you'll be changing colours, of course, because that's what you've been doing, hopefully, or maybe not, because you might be working in one colour. But in these first 5 rounds of the sleeves, we will be doing no reduction. So after that, after you have done round 25, I would like you to come back and I will tell you how we are going to do the reduction. And it's really simple, and you will be making sure that the sleeve tapers down really nicely. So I will see you at the end of round 25. So I'm just finishing my round, skipping the standing stitch here and doing a slip stitch. Now we're going to pretend I have done 5 rounds without any decreasing, and also we're going to pretend that I'm changing colours. So I'm not changing colours, so I'm just going to do 2 slip stitches as suggested. If you are not changing colours, then this is something that you can do as well, for obviously for going to the next round. Round 26 is a decrease round. So you're going to get started as you usually would with your slip knot and your standing stitch, but of course I haven't cut off my yarn, so I'm doing 2 chains instead of a double crochet, and I'm adding 2 stitches to this. So I've made my first cluster. Then to do a decrease, we're going to keep it simple. So we're going to do 1 double crochet in the first location. Then we're going to do 2 double crochets over 2 locations. So we're going to go into the same first location and do half a finished double crochet. Then we yarn over, go to the next location and do our second double crochet in there. Well, only finish it half. And now we're going to yarn over and finish the double crochets together. So as you can see, we've used both the locations, but we've only got 1 V. Okay, and now because we need 3 V's, we're going to do a double crochet in the second location. So what we've done is we've almost, in a way, we've done a cluster, but we've split it into 2 locations. So next time we're going to be placing a cluster here and a cluster here, and that will mean that we have skipped 1 location and have reduced. So then of course you're just going to continue your round, and each time you have done a decrease round, after that you're going to do 3 rounds of no decreases, so just doing the clusters. Then you do another round of decrease, then 3 rounds of no decreases. And doing it this way all along the sleeve will make sure that you have a nicely tapered sleeve. So I started with 24 clusters in my sleeve. Now that I've done my first reduction row, I will now have 23 clusters. Then I will do 3 more rows with 23 clusters. Then I will do another, so to speak, round 26 or decrease round, and then I will go to 22 clusters and so on. So I finished reducing when I had 14 clusters. I had the sleeve width, but I needed it to be longer, so I kept on doing rounds until I had enough length in my sleeve. Now, one more tip as well, I did both sleeves at the same time. So I got my colour out, I did 1 round on one side, and then I did the same round on the other side. you might as well, because you've got the colour out, and you do the same thing. So I've now made it to the end of my round here. I'm just going to slip stitch my round closed, and of course you're going to be doing your changing of colours. I will just be doing my little slip stitches here, and indeed I am going to get started by doing my 3 rounds of no decreasing. So I'm going to get started with 2 chains representative of a double crochet, adding 2 more double crochets, and then as you can see here we've got this construction. Indeed, this was my decrease. I'm just going to go to the other side of it. So don't be tempted to place a cluster here, which I don't think you would, because it doesn't look like our normal, like our normal location. So now in the next round you will notice that you've done 1 cluster less. So when you look at your jumper like this, I always make sure that I start and I finish about here, but also that I do my decreases about here as well, so under the arm. Okay, so I have made it all along my sleeve. So this is my collar, this is my shoulder, and then all along here, this is my sleeve. So I have made it to the last round here. This is round 65, counting from the very first round of the collar, okay? Now, I want to show you this on the actual sweater because the sampler I'm making is a little bit small to show you this. So it's easier if I do it on here. And of course there's 2. So I've been able to make the first one here and I've tried it out. It fits nicely, and so now I'm doing the second one. Now the thing is, yes, I do say make your sleeve until it is the width that you require. And let me just show you by putting my hand in it like this. As you can see, it is quite wide for my wrist, but that's okay. So don't make it too narrow, because you've still got to do the cuff. And this, doing this and then making this smaller, will make sure, look, my hand can just get in. This is going to be closed off really nicely and looks nice, and then I've got the freedom of movement inside my sleeve. Okay, so that's why it's nice to, yes, make the sleeve to your required width, but do leave a gap so that you can make it narrower with the ribbing. I did continue doing rounds without reduction after I had achieved the width of my sleeve, because I needed quite a long sleeve for my arms. So I've got my slip knot, go under 2 strands, go and do a standing single crochet, and basically you're going to do that under every stitch. And of course, yeah, we're going to do decreasing. So I make up a rule. So here I've now done 4 single crochets. In the next location, here and here, I'm going to do 2 single crochets, but I'm going to finish them together. So I go in, pull up a loop, I go into the next stitch, pull up a loop. I now have 3 loops on my hook, yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook. And then we continue. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then stitch 5 and 6. We're going to take those together again. There we go. And really, again here, depending on how wide your sleeve is at the end, you can make up your own rule. Do you think you need more or less decreases? You can easily do that. So let's have a look. Has this been reduced a little bit? Yes. Can you see it's going in slightly? So that's okay, that's fine. Right, now for the ribbing. So you stay with the same colour And to start with, we're going to have to do a round of double crochets. So I'm going to do a chain 1, then into the first stitch for a double crochet, and this sort of helps us to get the height. And now I'm going to just place double crochets all along. Now if you still find that the cuff opening is too big, you can do a few reductions here, but of course you're doing double crochets. So let me show you how to do the double crochet reduction. So you yarn over, you go into a stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. Then you yarn over, you're not going to finish this stitch, but you're going to go and start a new stitch, go through the first 2 loops, and then you finish them together. So I have made it to the end of the round. Now theoretically I should be placing a double crochet in here because this chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, but I am going to skip it because you know what, we are doing reductions, so bringing things together is better than, you know, adding another stitch. So let me just show you. I'm going to be able to put my hand in, and look now, it's closing around my wrist quite nicely already. See, that's much smaller than what it was just now. Okay, so now we're going to start doing our front post double crochet rounds. So again, chain 1, we're going to put a double crochet in the first stitch. Voila. And now in the next stitch you're going to do a front post double crochet. Next stitch double crochet. Next stitch front post double crochet. Now if you get to this and you have to do a front post, then just go around it. Go around the whole thing. Voila. I will see you at the end of the round. I have now made it to the end of my round, and as you can see, here I started with a normal double crochet and here I'm finishing with a normal double crochet. So my multiple doesn't work out, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter because, you know, it's a cuff. Nobody is going to notice this. So I'm just going to do a double crochet as is my repeat, and then I'm going to close my round. There we go. So yes, there is a little bit more flat here, but that doesn't matter. So to start the next round, chain 1. Here I've done a double crochet, so I'm going to do a double crochet here as well. Then here I've done a front post, so I'm going to go and do a front post. And by doing the same thing as we did in the row below, these front post double crochets will start sort of lying a bit on the surface and they will start making that ribbing. Now I have tried this on and it has narrowed a little bit again, so if you needed this cuff to be narrower still, we're going to do 2 stitches together. So you yarn over, you start your first stitch as you would normally. Now you would start your second stitch, so we are going to start the second stitch, but this just happens to be a front post and that's fine. So we're doing a front post, doing it halfway and then finishing everything together, and this will have reduced our stitches. Now of course in the next round you're going to have to do a front post and a front post, okay, so they will be next to each other. So basically we've taken out the double crochet from between. Again, if you can do this under your arm so that the cuff doesn't show this at the top, that would be good. And I suggest you put a stitch marker where, you know, if you lay your sweatshirt flat, it might be under. Am I going to be lucky? No, it's on the top. Never mind. So make sure you place a stitch marker where your underside of your arm is, so you can do all your decreases and any corrections on that side. Okay, I'm just basically doing this for, you know, to show you, but also I'm not worried where my decreases lie. I'm going to finish my round and I will see you there. Finished my round again. So this time I'm going to try and slip stitch to there, so that when I get back here I can do a stitches together, so this pulls it in a little bit. So here now we're going to do a front post double crochet, so you chain one and then you get started with doing your stitches. But I have just compared it to my other sleeve. So here you can see we've taken two together, but this is the location for that front post, so do the front post there. So I have noticed that my other cuff is a little bit narrower, so I'm going to do a few more stitches taken together. So let's do that here, so that we can reduce the opening slightly. You know, again, this is one of those things you need to try it on, and maybe even if it's too wide and you have finished your cuff or you've got the length of it, you'll have to start again. You'll have to undo it and try again and do some more decreases. I want to teach you these things in a way that you can adapt it to any size that you are making, and that is why my instructions are the way they are. So I might have done too many now, but not to worry. I am going to just stop crocheting a moment and take it in. Yes, see, this is going in much more than what it was, but also not as much as this one. And I think actually I might need another row, because this one is wider than this one. So I'm now going to continue with this. There we go. Now the last part for our jumper is to take another look at the collar, and at the moment it doesn't look like much, and it also does not have the ribbed effect, so we're going to add that to it now. Now I do suggest you do this in the same colour. I did it in the same colour here, and you can't tell that you've done this in 2 goes, okay, but it does look like a proper collar. But I'm going to use a different colour today, just so that it would be easier for you to see what I am doing. So I'm using Barbie pink here, and I'm going to make my slip knot, insert my hook, and you can start wherever you want, but I tend to start just sort of on the shoulder here, so it doesn't sort of look too obvious and you're not looking at it at the front or the back of your collar. So the way we're going to do this is actually by placing front post double crochets, but we're going to place them not in this one, but in this row here. So you're going to yarn over, then you go around the body of the stitch, you pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And now we're going to go and look at the top of our work here at the V's, and you're going to have to decide which V was that. So this corresponds to this V, I'm going to say, okay? So this one here is then going to be the next stitch, and I'm going to do a single crochet there. So now for the next stitch, this is the one that we did the single crochet on top of. So we're going to skip this one, but then here, this is a location for our next front post double crochet. And then again, we skip one here. So which one did we use? That's the one that we've used below here. This one is the next one that we need to use. Don't lose sight of it and do a single crochet in there. Same thing, we skip one here and we do our front post in the next one, and we skip one here and we do a single crochet in the next one. And when you get here, you're going to see, so here we have the one that we used for our double crochet. This is the one that we are going to use for our single crochet. And then here we have the corner. So I'm going to skip this and straight away I'm going to do a front post here. Voila. So I'm not doing enough stitches here, but I'm doing a little bit of a reduction here, but that's fine. The way I've done that looks nice. So now we are skipping one here, then a single crochet in the next one, then we skip the one here and we do a front post in the next one. There we go. Voila. See? And if it doesn't work out nicely like this, then just, you know, try and make it work out. If you do this in the same color, then it's not going to be so obvious, okay? Because obviously I am using a different color so you can see really well what I am doing. And by doing this, we are creating that little ribbed effect that you see on collars, and that will make our collar look nice. So it will look something like this in the end. There we go. And I think having done that, I think that looks quite nice. And if you wanted to, you could do a second round as well, but I think this is perfectly all right to leave it like this. So in a way, this is now the jumper finished. I hope you enjoyed the process, and I hope you have been able to work out all the parts of the jumper that you will be doing. And yeah, I have really enjoyed making this, and I am so looking forward to starting to wear this. So I would like to thank you very much for watching the tutorial. I hope you will make this jumper. I hope you will enjoy wearing it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!